Thanks for clicking. If you click this, that means you're interested in creating your own formula sheet. So let's jump right into it. The first thing you want to do is open up a blank Excel sheet. If you have Mac, I'm not sure what you guys use, maybe Sheets, something like that, but for the main thing, you need an Excel sheet. Okay, so let's begin. The first thing you want to create is your columns. Since we're starting from row 5, we're going to go in and we're going to type in the title. So the first title that we want to have here, of course, is our ingredients title. Ingredients, right? The next thing you want to do is go below that. You'll understand why I'm doing this later. We're going to have oil phase. Probably don't even stop. Above that, we want to have, we're going to put our batch size, but we're just going to do the numeric amount. So we can do 10. Over here, we're going to start labeling our measurements. We want to start off with ounce, grams, pounds, kilograms. Okay. All right. So let's pause for a second. The reason for each of these different types of measurements, because I understand everyone is in a different country and might use different type of measurements. Also, some people are more comfortable with one type of measurement rather than the other. For example, some people like using grams, some people like using ounce. You know, so we find grams to be more accurate. I do use ounce a lot, but when I'm doing like very small, ingredients like essential oils, I like to use grams. So I use a mixture of both, depending on what I'm creating. All right, so let's get back to it. All right, so now above our measurements, we're going to have a blank space. In that blank space, let's go one row above it, and we're going to type batch size. We're going to click on that one box that has batch size, which is column D. We're going to drag it across to column G, and we're going to go ahead and go on home, which you should have up already, and we're going to click the merge and center tool. Yes, so that way it will give the table a more uniform look. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, we're going to do column B all the way across to column G. We're going to merge it just as we did the previous one. Everything that comes after this row will be the oil phase until it hits another phase. So that's why we're going to merge here, so it can be uniformed and organized. Don't worry, by the time this ends, it will look better. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put a sample ingredient just for the sake of this form. So we're going to do stearic acid. We might have to put a few more when we're calculating, but we'll get there. So note I went ahead and I added all the phases, so that way we can put in our sample ingredients in order to complete the table itself and get all our calculations in order. So right now we're at the cool down phase. As you can see here, we're at the cool down phase. So we're going to go ahead and start editing. Now that we have each phase completed, let's add some ingredients underneath the phase. Let's go with oil phase, shea butter, stearic acid. Let's do apricot oil. Water phase, let's do aloe juice. Glycerin, depending on how you use the glycerin. Maybe some distilled water as well. Okay, and then cool down phase, let's do your essential oil, your vitamin E oil, your fragrance, and preservative, since this is a water-based sample formula that we're using. All right. Oh, I'm pretty sure we have like a whole bunch of spell checks here. Yeah, I need to get that under control. So now that we've placed all our ingredients in, let's go ahead and do our calculations for the ounces, grams, pounds, kilograms, so that we can translate the different measurements, right? Because if you're someone that use ounce, sometimes you might need grams. That's why a lot of people just go off and start straight with grams and call it a day. Everyone is different. I use both. We're going to go ahead and make ounce the dominant measurement here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to drag column B to column G. We're going to merge and center. column B to column G, we're going to merge and center. Now, there are shortcuts for you to do it, but I understand not everybody is, well versed in Excel, so I'd rather do it the long way. If you know the shortcut, do the shortcut. We're going to go ahead and do the same for column C to column G as well over here. Merge and center. All right, so now everything is sectioned off and organized. Let's go ahead and calculate the measurements, how to get the different measurements. So for the first one, ounces, what you want to do, let's say stearic acid was 1 ounce, right? So now we only have 1 there. What are we going to do about the rest? Or how are we going to find the rest, right? So we're going to go on our Google ounce to grams, and ounce to grams here, it shows you that ounce to grams is you multiply the mass value by 28.35, which would be the ounce times 28.35. So we're going to take that calculation from this piece here in Google, and we're going to input that formula into our Excel sheet. So let me show you. So grams, we're going to equal column D7 times, like it says there, 28.35. And as you can see, we still get 28.35, just like what we have up here. If it was another number, let's change this number and see. Okay, so let's change the number. As you can see here, we did 2. So in Google, 2 ounce grams to grams, that's 56.699 grams. We're going to go ahead and we go to our formula sheet here, or table, and click 2. Gives you the same amount. So this is how you check if your measurements and your calculations are correct, so that when you make your formula, you don't have any issues. All right, so now that we have the ounce to grams, we're going to do ounce to pounds as well. So let's go ahead and put that in. All right, so 1 ounce equal 0.0625. Right, so the answer is divide the mass value by 16. So before we had grams, we multiplied by 28.35. So this one we're going to divide by 16. Equals, the mass value is the ounce divided by 16. Then the next one, I'm not sure why I chose kilograms, but some people do use it, so let's go ahead and put that in there. You never know, right? So for the kilograms, you divide the mass value by 35.274. So we're going to go ahead, we divide an ounce by 35.274, right? However, we're going to round this up. Well, we have 2 here, so let's go back to 1 so you can see that. Okay, yes. So 1 is 0.28. I did one so you can get an idea of the process of creating this form and see how long it takes. This cuts your creation time down by a lot. And I know everyone has their own form, but here you go. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the weight for the other ingredients. So let's go and let's do, since it's 5, let's do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And for this, it's essential, so it's probably a 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Perfect. All right, so now we're gonna do the calculation across. This part is very important, so pay attention. If you don't see nothing else, pay attention to this. Okay, so now let's get into the calculations that we want to drag down. We forgot one thing, guys. We forgot our percentage, because we have to do percentage, right? So what we had to end up doing was adding our percentage column, because we forgot our percentage column, because we need the percentage column in order to scale the formula. In order to get the percentage, you want to go ahead and take the weight divided by our batch size that is in column C4. That's how you get the percentage. So now you want to take it a step further and edit that column to be percentage. So that way it automatically changes, as you can see here. Show you something when you drag it down. Happen, right? So you see how it says like an arrow? That's because when you're dragging it down, it's just going to the column below for the percentage row. So what we want to do is we want to click on 10%. We want to make 10 absolute. I think that's what it's called, absolute. So we're going to put a $sign and then enter. So that way, when we do drag it down, it continues with the same pattern, as you can see here. So you see continue with a 10. So you put a $sign between the C and the 4 in order for it to continue, so it can repeat without you having to constantly edit it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so now that we have the calculation, let's go ahead and drag this down. You can right click copy. We could paste, but we're gonna paste FX. This is what you want, formulas, that's what you're pasting. And then you go ahead and you do the same thing, drag it down. And you could go right here, do the same thing again. You wanna copy it, and go right down here, and you want to paste FX, which is the formula. And go ahead and drop it, drag it down again. All right? We also want to make sure that everything here is considered percentage. So there you go, now the values are there. So now you have a sheet. You want to also include the total here. Now be reminded, you can edit this, add more rows if you'd like, less rows, more columns, whatever you want. But this is the base for you to create your own sheet, your own table, or even just use this one as your table. We're going to do some totals. The total will include the sum of each column, including the percentage, because we want to get it to 100%. The total for each column should be equivalent to 10 ounce, or you know, the version of that in grams, pounds, or kgs. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to do equal sum. Now I want you to be reminded, if these rows weren't merged, you could basically just drag this down in order to get the sum, but because I merged them already, we're just going to go ahead and do it this way. So you want to click on column D7 and drag that down. Stop there, click on column D7, drag that down. I want you to hold on to the control key. You're going to go ahead and click column D13, and you're going to drag that down as well. You're going to hold on to your control key, and you're going to click column D, what is this, 19, and you're going to drag that down all the way to D22. You're going to close your brackets and click enter, and there you have it. You have the total. So now that we drag all of this down, you want to hold on to that first column D20, and you want to drag it across so that it can copy the formula, the sum formula that we have for the ounce column. So this is what I'm going to show you. So we just drag it across a while ago, boom, and then we're going to double click here. So you see it has that. I'm going to show you what it had before. Okay, so before it was this, right? It was multiplying. It was basically finding the grams, pounds, and kilograms for the total of the 10, but that's not what we want. We want the total of everything. Even though it's the same number, I do prefer it doing each row coming down rather than across, because that way you can know, like, if you have any mistakes in each row, that total will tell you, especially with the percentage. So let's go ahead and drag that across. So now the percentage is tallying up all the percentages from top to bottom. So that way, if a percentage is off, you know, it could figure it out rather than having it multiplying across. Okay, so we're short here on about 40%, 42%. So we're gonna go ahead and add those in. So let's do 2 and 2, 1.5, go this 1.5, and let's do steric acid 1.5. 1.3, 1.2, and there you have it, 100%, because your whole thing's supposed to tally up to 100%. Now for the fun part, so now we're going to add a little pizzazz to it. We're going to add a little color. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like here. As a matter of fact, you can basically choose whatever color you want, but let's go ahead and do for this one, we're going to do like a light bluish, you know, something neutral. This one we're gonna probably leave it clear as well. We're gonna do the same here, so we're gonna highlight them in. For the batch size, I will give it another, like a brighter color, so it can stand out, so we know that, hey, this is the batch size. You know, you want it to be alarming because you want that to jump out at you before anything else. At this point, you want to put the colors that you like. This is a neutral color, that's why I use that. You can use brown, whatever. So for our phase separations, we're going to go a bit deeper with the color. Let's highlight each of them to make this video a bit easier. You don't have to go like that. Boom. and we're going to make the text white so you can see the text. We're also going to change the font. For me, I need to change the font to Arial. Yeah, that way you can, you can sit in them like that. We're going to put some borders on these columns here. These columns and rows, I'm going to give these borders. It just makes it look better, makes you want to work on it. That's just my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go in more borders, and we're going to only do the inside borders. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do thick outside borders for the outer layers, and voila, this is your formula sheet. And then the next part of it, what I like to do is I highlight this as well, just so it stands out, make it white. And also you'd like to put a border around this as well. Okay, so now that we basically at the end, which is amazing, because you see how quick that was. It was a quick form that you can make. So now we have the batch size, we have the ounce, the grams. We're going to tally it all up to make sure it does what it's supposed to do. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's adding up, that's adding up, that's adding up, that's adding up. Okay, so we can also change this as well. Let's change that color since we're in the mood of changing stuff. If you want to insert a little, okay, so now that the formula is, has some color to it, the formulations are in. Let's say you wanted to add a row, right? Let's go ahead and insert, right? That's what we do. Right click the row where you want to add it. You want to add it here, insert. If you want to add it below preservative, you have to click total, insert. So now this looks like a really good sheet that you can use. Also, this formula sheet that we have here, you can get formulas from online, and if they don't have percentages, you can put the formula in here, and then when they don't if they didn't put like grams, percentages or anything, put it here, and then for each ingredient that I list out, you put it in each row here, each box, and it will actually change it for you and help you figure out how much percentage they use, and then you can scale that formula if they didn't provide that information for you. If you guys don't want to make this, you can click the link down below and just purchase from me. It's this sheet alone, and you can copy, you can paste it, and keep adding more ingredients. So I'm going to show you now how to scale it. So in order to scale the formula, we're going to copy this table. Let's put it at J. We're going to paste it. We're going to paste this with the formula, and we're going to paste it with everything basically. So FX paste, and let's see if we could do, and it keeps sourcing column width. All right. So now that is copied over here. I did that to make our lives easier, but this is what we're going to do. For each column, for each row, in order to make this seamless, so that when you do have other formulas and you do have other recipes you're creating, you don't have to constantly type this over, you don't have to constantly do any of that. This is what we're going to do. Fixing this now makes your life easier down the long run. So instead of having it already typed in, we're going to click equal, and we want to equal the original column, the initial table. We want to get the sums from the initial table. So it's going to equal B7. What we're going to do is drag B7 down, right? So we're going to drag B7 down, and then we're going to equal, and we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to drag that down as well. Hold on to that little square, that green part there, and just drag it down. We're going to do the same for the next portion of the table. Equal from the original table, and then we're going to drag it down. Okay, so now the reason why we did that is this. So from the original, we're going to go in the original sheet, and watch, I'm going to type my name is, and we're going to click enter. See, it goes, you see what happens there? It goes right into the scaling sheet, so that way you don't have to constantly type it in. So for the scaling percentages, the one to scale the batch, what we're going to do, we're going to do the same thing that we did with the previous one, right? Let's go here, and we're going to equal column H7 from the previous sheet. It's not complicated, right? And then we're gonna drag it down. We did drag that one. This one I'm going to show you a different way for people who don't want to drag or probably don't know what I'm talking about. Enter H13, you click enter, now it's on 10, click equal and click right back over to H14. There you go, boom. For the sake of time, we're gonna drag it down here, all right? Then boom, let's do it again here, 2%, and then we're gonna drag it down here. All right, so I'm gonna pause and fix my columns. So what happened here is that now, if you were to change the amount in this column to 30%, it automatically changed the scaling sheet. It changes the scaling sheet because the two tables are connected. That makes your life easier down the long run. So we do the work now to make your life easier. All right, now let's put this back to 1.5. Sorry, 1.2. Okay. Now, just to give you a little bit perspective, this column in the scaling sheet, we have to calculate that. So let's delete these so we can calculate them, correct? Okay, so what we want to do in order to get this, in order to find out the correct weight, you know, the correct amount of product that you'll need in this batch in order to scale the batch, this is the formula that we'll use. So we will go in and say, we'll go in and we click that empty slot, we're gonna click equal. We're going to say equal the batch size, which is 10, times the percentage, which is 12. Now, in this batch size, in this column here, this row, this box, you want to go ahead and you want to make the K4, which is the batch size, obsolete. So that when we drag down the formula, we don't have to worry about it miscalculating the weight. Once we make that obsolete, it will continue to be 10 all the way down to the total. And that's what we want. We don't want a miscalculation, and we don't want to have to constantly go back into it and fix this part of the form. So let's go ahead and click enter. So you see how it gives you 1.2? Good. Now we drag down. Perfect. So you see how it equals the same amount as our original or initial table. Now let's go here and we're going to do the same thing. Times, but we want it to be obsolete, so we're going to put our $ in between the K and the 4. Now we have an obsolete value, right? And we're going to keep doing this right down until the other phase. We're going to go ahead, click 10 times 2. Let's not forget to make it obsolete, and then we're going to go ahead and drag it down. But let me take a moment to fix my columns because you know I don't like seeing that. So now here you have your original, your initial form, and then you have your scaling form. These two forms, like I said before, are connected. Can't have one without the other. You probably can, but this makes your life easier. All right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's take a look. Let's test it out. Let's test out our table. First thing, this batch is 10. Let's say we want to do 196. Oh, yeah, that's a large number. In grams, it's going to be a large number, so we go boop. There we go, 196. And do you notice what happened? Everything changed. It all changed for you here. So let's go ahead and let's do that again. Let's do 96, since that's a smaller number. If you add more rows, you want to check and make sure your total includes those rows. If you see here, my total does not include the last 2 rows. That can cause problem for your formulating in the long run. So if you know you add more rows, definitely check the total and make sure these rows are included in the sum. So as you see here, mine isn't, so we're going to go in and we're going to fix that. How do we fix it? The rows that aren't included are the rows in between row 19 and 25. So we're going to go there and we're going to click the bottom right square on the purple rectangle and we're going to pull it down. And now it's fixed. And so we don't have to continuously do this for each one. We're just going to highlight 10, drag that green square at the bottom right all the way across. And just like that, it will do what it was doing before. However, there it goes. See? Now everything is included. We're going to do the same for this. drag it down and drag across. And where does it have 1? Double click it, click enter, we're good to go. Okay, so we did, if you notice, we did remove that middle slot. But yeah, here you go. This is your formula sheet, and I hope this suits you well. If you don't want to go ahead and create this, click the link below and you can purchase this formula sheet. Also, I wanted to show you that you can actually copy. Right click, move or copy, create copy, copy this. And what you could do is that this could be for another recipe, maybe body butter 1, and then you could copy, paste, do the same thing, and then this could be another for another sheet, maybe like lotion 1, and they will all have the same formula, so you know you won't have to constantly create it. Yeah, so I sell, you know, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope you were successful with creating your own. If you weren't successful with creating your own, you can purchase this for $5. So have a nice day. Ooh.